Good evening, this is Tumi Tladi coming through on Friday the 11th of June 2021, 8:43 p.m. This is the second session I'm doing today, video number 5, where I'm gonna do the Solution Explorer for ASP.NET Web API. So just to recap, I just recorded the session for MVC, and they're both targeting .NET Framework. So let me do right click and then go to properties. Before I do that, I'd like to say something that, I am my own biggest fan. So as much as I'm expecting a lot of people to find this content to be imperative, to be essential, to be important, to provide some guidance to them, it does pretty much do that to me, someone who built the system all by himself. I get to have a clear understanding on exactly what I did, and then I love that. Okay, so let's continue. Now, I meant to say that this content on this YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, share, comment, tell your friends about this content, because I built a system. It's a closed source, it's not an open source, and then I am going through how I build it with the critical things, showing off all the services I've used, and then the actual code on a specific functionality or feature, like in detail. For now, I'm still busy with the Solution Explorer series, where I'm breaking down these projects. What do they do? I started with DAL, targeting .NET Framework. I went to DAL, targeting .NET Core Framework, and I just did Web, ASP.NET MVC, targeting .NET Framework, and now I'm doing again the same ASP.NET Web API this time, but it's two in this project. Okay, so just to show that this is targeting .NET Framework 4.72. This is a class library, but it's actually web. Okay, so that's the first thing. So I'm not gonna focus on MVC. I did MVC, so I'm expecting this video to be short. I covered almost everything in my previous video. Please check number 4. This is video number 5. Check number 4, and please watch these videos like from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how many videos I'm gonna be making, but for you to understand what I'm doing, please understand what I did previously. So let's start with the controllers. Like I said, I'm gonna focus on the Web API. So now it's high time that we show that there is a Web API project. So this is the MVC, and then there's Web API. But I'm not gonna focus. Besides, it doesn't have much. It doesn't have much except to say 404. I did this intentionally because Web API is a type of a project that's not meant to be known by the end users, unless you have Web API and also you are also telling your users about your website, what does it do, but it also functions as a Web API. For me, I want to separate the domains because this is a big project itself. I know it's in one project, but it's a huge thing, meaning that I want to separate the functionality. Like, this is MVC stuff, so when I deploy this back to the server, this is what gets to be affected, but this doesn't get to be affected. Does it make sense? Meaning that when I publish, I publish two separate, the same project, but in two separate domains. So this one won't be affected. The mobile application will continue to make use of this. The WPF desktop application will continue to use this without having to affect this guy. So when I make some changes, this guy is not affected. When I make this changes on this guy, this one is not affected. So for me, that was the decision that I make, and I love the decision I made. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the Web API, and then this gives me an opportunity to talk about. Now, before we do this, let's start with where this whole thing begins. I'm not gonna show this file because it contains some sensitive credentials. And please go back to a previous video where I spoke briefly about this file, but I'm not gonna show it. Let's go back to app start, the web API stuff. So web API config, this guy is being registered on global ASAX. So we have global configuration where I configure web API config, where I register the web API config. So what's happening with the web API config? It's the same thing of figuring the web API routes. So you register the API routes, web API routes. So this one, the name is custom API. The route template, it's gonna start with identical docs API controller and then ID, and I will talk about this later on. Especially the mobile application. The mobile application knows this address. This is important. The mobile application knows this address. The mobile application knows that after https:// not you, after https://api.identicaldocs.co.za, there's something that comes after. What's coming after, because this is web API, is this identical docs API. And then to whichever controller that I need to talk to, and I pass additional optional parameter, which is ID if need be. This is me registering the web API routes. Secondly, I also configure the fluent validation model validator provider. So the web API has a fluent validation where I validate the models. Okay, so this is the purpose of web API config. It's only meant for web API. Secondly, I have this class called swagger.config. So if you want to learn more about Swagger, please just Google Swagger. It's one of the services. I'm not going to get into detail for now, but I can just show you Swagger. I think it's swagger.org. So I've used it. So Swagger is an interface description language for describing RESTful APIs expressed using JSON. Swagger is used together with a set of open source software tools to design, build, document, and use RESTful web services. Swagger includes automated documentation, code generation, blah, blah, blah. So I've used Swagger. Okay. I've used Swagger. And then Tim Corey, big shout out to Tim Corey. I only implemented this because Tim Corey did implement this when he did a series of Tim Corey retail series where he started building web API. So he then added this package Swagger, and then he walked through how to set it up. So I learned a lot from that guy, what to enable, what not to enable, the comments and everything. So big shout out to you, sir. Thank you very much for your selflessness of giving us the insides of your system, like the goodness. So yeah, but I'll talk about it when I do specific Swagger, like what does it do, but not now. So I think I'm done with what's happening here. So these are the critical things. Then I can come now to controllers. So this is where now the topic of versioning web API comes in. So let me explain something about versioning. Let me do this. This guy, because this will be the actual address. Okay, let's say I'm gonna create a dummy controller. Let's say the controller name is called stuff. That's a controller name, right? So on this stuff, it's only for the employees. So what you would do then, you would pass in the ID to say I want to look for employee number 1. Okay, good. So you done defining how your web API and what endpoints it should have and everything. So your mobile application will know this address. If it needs, let's just say for it to get information about the stuff, it will pass in the ID. So this will be like this, right? The ID will go there. Okay. Alternatively, I believe ID question mark and then value. Well, query strings, how do query strings work? They keep on kicking my butt. I don't want to lie. Query strings, they keep on kicking my butt. Slash and then question mark. So what did I do? Stuff question mark ID. Yes, like this, I believe. See, I'm still learning. Question mark. Yes. So the stuff, you like, okay, I need to know the stuff of ID 26, my favorite number. So your mobile application will know that I just passed in 26. That's your mobile application. That's a version 1, meaning that the mobile devices that are running your mobile app, they already have this thing. They know if we need to know Tumi Tladi with the ID for ID 26 for stuff, that we're gonna know information about Tumi Tladi. But say you want to add another is this a query string? I don't know if this is a query string, but you will use and, not you, and. Let's just say I also want to say I want to see Tumi Tladi, and I also need to know, but I want the information to be private. So I will say is private. So it's a boolean, right? With a question mark. No, just like that. So then it will be like true. Maybe I'm paying. So if you want to add additional feature, this will be version 2. You're not gonna tamper with the version 1 where this is the thing that's needed, because your URL on the mobile application through the web API, it only knows this part, which is version 1. The second part is version 2. This part, do not tamper with the version 1. So this is what we have. I have a version 1, everything I did in version 1. But does it mean in version 2 I have the same thing? No. Check version 2. So version 2, I'm only addressing what's in general. So let's look at general. So general, now you should know. And if you look at version 1, I do have access pin underscore version 1 controller. And let's look at the general of version 2. So I wasn't addressing access pin, feedbacks, or phone numbers version 1. But instead in version 2, I was addressing only notifications. So we can do side by side where it will show that this one is this one's this. So let's do that. Let's do that. So let's put this guy here, and then let me open version 2. So let's see what's unique and what's different. Because like I said, I didn't prepare to do this, but I should be able to quickly go through what's unique here. We found it. So when it comes to notifications, the only thing that's not on this object, this is an object called get all notifications response version 1. The only thing that's not in this class, if you look at its property called prices. So give it a second. And then also I also have get all notifications response version 2. We can do the same thing. I'm going to show you how the versioning works. So here I have service, file type, customer reference, process, create on, and business name. That's it. But the version 2, I included additional property called prices. So I do have a service type, or file type. Let me scroll down. I do have customer reference, this customer reference. I do have a process. Is there a process? I do have created on. Lastly, I do have business name. But I do have additional column. Here it is. So this is where now the version 2 comes in, meaning that I rewrite, or not I rewrite, I somehow replicate the version 1, but I only add the new stuff on version 2. In this case, you can see that I'm also passing information for price. That's it. And this is it. So this is versioning in a nutshell. So version 1, we are done with the general. So let's go to uploads, because I see there is uploads underscore version 1 controller. Let it go upstairs. Okay, downstairs, let's go for version 2 of uploads. Okay, let me see if I can quickly identify what's new. So this is AutoMapper, but we'll do extensive research about that. I will explain that later on. I think because of AutoMapper, yeah, everything is inside AutoMapper, yeah. But I will show that when I do AutoMapper. Okay, cool. So I hope this made sense on the versioning of Web API. It's a big topic. There's a guy on YouTube, when I first learned about versioning, he did explain brilliantly. So I'll get into these controllers. All of them, they're marked underscore version 1. Please, if you're gonna build a Web API in C# using Microsoft stuff, please version your stuff. And this is again where the version control system comes in. If you did previously had business controller, it's okay. Rename this guy to be business underscore v1 controller, or however way, just show that this is version 1. I also, the reason why I ended up having to rename this, even if this is perfect. Let me go back to uploads. Let me explain how I came up with even to have to rename all this. So basically what happens, you see this folder called uploads is inside a different folder called version 1, but the same folder uploads is inside a different folder called version 2. But previously I had uploads controller and then uploads controller. It was confused on the mobile application. It created this massive bug I did not understand. It wasn't clear. It wasn't clear, like, hey, this can't happen. It's when I renamed one of the controller, it worked. And then that's a lesson. So this is my own lesson that I've learned. No one taught me this and all that. That they clash. Especially you have to rename them properly. So we are done with this. Like I said, I'll get into bits and pieces when we look at exactly how the Web API was built. And then again, we have AutoMapper. AutoMapper is meant for, that's a funny thing. Oh yes, we do have AutoMapper for Web API. Yes. So also, do you see that Web API, it's versioned. It's a versioned system. Version 1, I have stuff. And then the version 2, you see, that's where the upload comes in. Uploads underscore version 2 profile. Whereas I have uploads underscore version 1 profile. And then I have feedbacks underscore version 1 profile. So everything is inside the corresponding folders, which is incredible. What else needs me to explain? Contracts. See, contracts, this is a big topic again, a massive topic. See, it's only Web API. Okay. Let me stretch my arms because I've been talking. Okay. I hope you're following along. In the meantime, please do like the video, subscribe, share it with friends, share it on your socials, and then tell your friends about this content. This content is a juicy one. You also get the ability to use hashtag request in capital letters, and then tell me where would you like me to focus explaining something. I'm not just going to explain the code, I'll explain how it works. I'll try to make it happen. Because the app is running, the website is running, Web API is running, I'll do my best to explain. This is why I'm using a branch called YouTube, so that I can mess it up now and then whenever I want to. So yeah. But for now, there hasn't been any request so I can mess it up now. So basically, if we look at this class, what I'm here, you would see that there's a class called post underscore upload request. What I'm interested in is this part, request. And then there are others that have the response. So the request, it's coming from the mobile application. The response is going back to the mobile application. So version 1, you see that there's a request and there are responses. And then these are the API routes for version 1. I also have API routes for version 2, and it's a big class. So let me get inside. Now, remember when I said this is the base URL? In fact, I think I did an example here where, yes, I said the mobile application knows, that my Xamarin app knows that this is the actual domain. After the /, this is the base URL. That's the one. In fact, then I was lying, so this is incorrect, because then there is another one, v1. So this is how it knows. And by the way, I know Microsoft doing this. Let me do Open API, Microsoft Open API. If I still remember, we used this service while I was building. I want the website. Is it the one? Okay, I think this is gonna be, let's see. Before I explain this topic of v1, what's happening there, where I have seen it. No, this is not it though. Unfortunately, this is not it. There's something I was looking for that. Okay, it's not what I'm looking for, but that one is a Microsoft one. Because this version, but I was looking for something. Okay, now unfortunately what I'm looking for. Okay, it's not here. Okay, let me do my best to explain what I was trying to say. This version 1, it's what the mobile application, when you first deploy it, is gonna know, because the end users, they're gonna have this thing in their palm or in their hands. Let me just say in their hands. When you make some changes, you're gonna increment this to be version 2 of the same URL, version 2. So let me do this. Let me cut this and say this is how the version 1 is gonna look like. Now the version 2, you only want to say the new version that you're going to release on Play Store, App Store is going to be version 2. It's going to have some additional parameters. This is what I'm trying to explain. And this is how I build my app. Okay. So that's version 1. And then you see, if I want to get the feedbacks, I would say this guy. So this is how it's going to be. First, it's going to use the base, and we know the base / the version number, and it's going to use get all feedbacks mobile. So that's how it is. That's how. So I build all of this to make it easy for the mobile application, and you will see why this class, why it's imperative. API routes version 1 and version 2 when it comes to controllers. And then the topic again that's big is these requests. So the requests are going to come from mobile application. For example, uploads, post upload request version 1. So this is what's going to come from the mobile application to say, you're going to tell me the service, is it going to be copying or printing is required. You're going to tell me the ink type, is it black and white or is it color? So you're going to tell me that. So this is a request coming from the mobile application. It's also using the validator. We'll do that later on. The response, on the other hand, okay, the response on the other hand, it's a different thing because I was looking for the uploads. If I haven't get the uploads, it's fine. You know, when you search like on the website, I wasn't supposed to take this long, but I think this is important. Well, you see, when you type, when you click the pin, it tells you Kagisho's La Papers. When you type IGHQ and you click this button search, that's a request. The request is gonna come to wait. Why do I see response? Why is this thing written response yet it's inside folder? Oh, this is not good. What did I do here? Because why is this thing response? Oh, okay, let me explain what's happening. Let me go to the controller because this is gonna confuse me. Let me go to the controller, Web API, version 1, business V1 controller. So what happens is this. Yes, get businesses for mobile. No, but I want the specific business, this one. So that's what happens when you click that search button, this search, and we'll do this live on the physical device later on. So this is what happens. And these comments are for Swagger. We'll do that later on. And then this is HTTP GET, and then this is the route. You see the route using that API route underscore version 1, going to business, and then I say get one business mobile. So that's what happens. You're gonna use the base version 1 and say get one business underscore for mobile. It expects what? A business number. There we go. It expects a business number, which is gonna be that IGHQ. Okay, so that's the route right there. This route. The response type, I'm gonna say you're gonna respond with a get business response v1. So that's a class I was trying to look at. So this is gonna be the response. So it doesn't need to have the request because the request is just the string business number. It's just one parameter. But when we respond with an object. Does make sense? And this is how the object gets to be formulated. This is how I get all the information like I did with on video number 1. This is the data that was returned. All of this. I hope it now makes sense. So the request and the response. So the response, I can go nuts. I don't have to respond using the actual models, and it's run to use database models. I think this makes sense now. So that is the contract, and then the request and the responses. This one needs to leave. It needs to move from here. It's a mistake. So in everything about the mobile application, it's request and then responses. Cool. What's left? Help us for Web API. Global variables. I hope there are no passwords here. Okay, these global variables are for fluent validation, having to validate these endpoints. Okay, so this is where, let me do example for uploads. So the only thing that I'm validating them, say the customer reference length should be 5 characters, and then the customer phone number length should be 10 characters. You will see the validations later on. When it comes to feedbacks, if you want to write the feedback, so for the title, I tell you the title length should be between 10 to 20 characters, and there's a reason why I did this. When it comes to the rating, if you want to rate it, the rate length should be 1 to 5. And then the message length should be 5 to 100. So this is global variables specifically for fluent validation. Generate. Now, the verification code for phone numbers, like on the mobile application when you want to be notified using a phone number, this is the method responsible for generating the random verification code. Only numbers from 1 till 0 is 6 characters. So this is the small algorithm that does that. It will return 6 characters. And then when it comes to random file name, the random file name is meant for wait, let me check the reference. And there are 2 references, and this is why I love Visual Studio, by the way. So unique file name on uploaded audios and uploaded docs. So yes, it's one method that's being used in 2 different places. Okay, we'll take a look at that later on. So these are the helpers. We are done. I'm still moving, almost done. Models, we don't have anything for Web API. Validators, like I said, version 1, version 2. So version 1, when we validate access pin on the mobile application, so what happens is that we need to check if the business number, the length is 4, and therefore we're going to show the error message, this message. We just saw that from global variables. The access pin itself needs to be 6 characters, the length has to be 6 with the message. So this is fluent validation in a nutshell, and I'm very good at it to protect it in the Web API. So that's version 1, and there's also version 2. And then I don't have these guys for Web API. Lastly, it's gonna be Web API version updates. So 2020, when I started back in March, did I start in March? No, I started in April. Okay, starting in April the first time. You can't start with version 1. Oh, that's when I decided to separate these 2 now, into having its own version updates. So decide to separate the version update system between the web and Web API. The work that goes into Web API should stand out on its own. So that's why I started focusing on anything I did. For example, on the 19th of April 2020, Sunday, version 1.5.6.5, I fixed the controller's structure by ensuring versioning. You see that? This is the power of the version control system. And here I built the logic and functionality for printing controller, because I know specifically what I did. Also here I fixed the view models structure for services on dial projects by ensuring versioning. So yeah, I did a lot there. So this is me keeping track of what I did. And in 2021, January, February, the last time. In February, what did I do? On the 19th of February 2021, Friday, version 1.13.5.1, part 1, I was at CUT using CUT computer. Part 1, integrate auto mapper on the get 1 endpoint of version updates version 1 controller. So I'm being specific, and this is how I write my commit messages. So I think this is it, because I covered almost everything in this project from the first video, number 4. So I think this was informative. Like I said, for you to be able to see exactly how these small pieces fit together to be part of the system, please use hashtag request and tell me where you like me to focus on. And then, like I said, on this mobile, we're gonna do more. When we do mobile, we're gonna do it live demo. That what happens when I click this button? Where does it go to Web API? How does it get to database? And then how does it show all these pins? Before you can click here, it needs to show data, all the businesses that are online. How do we remove the business from being online using the web application as the administrator? Everything. I will show how the pieces work and how they come together. But for now, I am done. So I hope this was informative as it was to me. I'm still learning a lot of things. And yeah, please like, subscribe, and then please do share, write comments, tell your friends to watch this. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. The updated stuff, not the outdated stuff. So thank you, and then enjoy the rest of your journey as a developer programmer. Thank you.